Repositories of the supreme revelation passed on knowledge to one another. According to Plato, this knowledge can only be handed on to those who have been properly prepared to receive it. The great sage of ancient Egypt, Imhotep, the initiator of his pharaoh, and the creator of the first pyramid in Saqqarat 5,000 years ago, is thought to be one of the initiates the Druze lay claim to, along with Hermes Trismegistus, Melchizedek, Pythagoras, Plato, and Aristotle. It was at the foot of Mount Hermon, in a remote wilderness in the Lebanon, that Druzism took root among the tribes originating in Arabia and the Yemen. From the earliest times, the persecutions inflicted on the sect induced followers to practice al-taqiyal, enjoining them to comply with the religious tenets of the victor while preserving their faith in their hearts. This principle of conduct has been successfully implemented by the Druze throughout their 8 centuries of history, which has always been closely tied to the Lebanese mountains, in whose shelter Druze clans and tribes strengthened their particularism under the rule of the emirs. Emir Fakhr ed-Din's arrival in Florence in 1615 awakened the interest of European courts. This prince had succeeded in setting up a young independent state within the Ottoman Empire. The master of the mountain could sign Prince of the Druze in Phoenicia and Mount Lebanon. A century later, decimated by rivalries between emirs, the exodus began for families, clans, and tribes. Thus started the Druze settlement of Horan Jebel in Syria. Other exoduses were to follow, particularly in 1860, after the intervention of a French task force siding with the Maronite. The epic of the Lebanese emirs culminates in the refinement of a miniature Versailles that the powerful Béchir II had built at Bet Edin. It is the epitome of Druze architecture. Lamartine, in his Travels in the East, rejoices in its magnificence and charm. In 1925, the time of the French mandate over Syria, when a Jebel nobleman rejected French tutelage and the offer of an independent Druze state. For 2 years, his horsemen managed to keep the French army at bay. One day, with his fellow soldiers, he charged an armored enemy column and annihilated it. His feats are often sung today in the madafas in Jebel, almshouses where the traveler can get board and lodging for as long as he needs. Today, within the world of Islam, the Druze constitute a highly specific community, numbering nearly 500,000, 250,000 in Syria, 150,000 in the Lebanon, and 40,000 in Israel. The Druze people are therefore at the very heart of the Arab-Israeli conflict. This situation is all the more tense as the Druze practice al-taqiyal, a teaching whereby they espouse the cause of their respective countries while inwardly retaining their Druze faith. Thus it is that in Israel, young Druze join the army to defend the Jewish state. At the funeral for one of their number, an Israeli minister is to be seen side by side with the head of the community, paying tribute to the deceased.
כבוד לעדה הגדולה והאצילה אשר ממנה צמחו.
At the same time, across the border, a Druze officer from Syria, in the name of the same Al-Taqiyal, has fallen on the field of honor. In the presence of the most high-ranking authorities in the country, the religious hierarchy of Jebel honor him as a hero of the Arab cause. Finally, in the Lebanon, Kamal Jumblat, head of the Lebanese Druze community and a politician enjoying great prestige, chose to side with the Palestinians against Israel and subsequently against Syria. He was to be assassinated at the height of the civil war. His death was mourned by all the Druze as a national loss, for beyond the closed borders of the 20th century, Druze solidarity still rules their hearts. That day in Israel, there was no question of hoisting the Israeli flag. Only Druze colors were displayed, signify the various rungs on the initiatory ladder. Nonetheless, these outward appearances are of little importance for the Druze, for the level of communication between the initiate and God depends on his level of knowledge. Your meditation is worth what your being is worth, said the sages. Your God is the God you deserve. He betokens the light or the darkness of your being. Initiation is also accessible to women, as the Druze consider their companions with great respect. They are not inferior or impure beings. Quite the contrary. The Druze woman can reach self-fulfillment by the same route as the man. These initiate women, the Akala Siti, wear a white veil, also a sign of wisdom and purity. Initiation takes time and requires perseverance. In the Lebanon, several schools of religion give courses that lead up to initiation. Here, the masters teach the major principles of Druze wisdom: personal mystic research, domination of the senses, respect for nature, one's neighbor, and other religions. And when, around his 40th year, the Druze has attained wisdom and achieved spirituality, the doors of the Khalwas will open to him, houses of meditation, often in remote mountain areas. The Druze eschew all forms of worship and rite, for they believe that the outward trappings of religion cause divisions among men. There is one unique God. In the Khalwas, the initiates study the 7 books of Hamza, a cosmogony on which commentators are undecided even today. It is filled with esoteric writings, strongly tinged with Neoplatonic reminiscences, Indian wisdom, thoughts derived from the Bible, the Gospel, and the Quran. It is claimed that the initiates even have ancient sacred texts in their possession. Might it be to the Druze that the supreme revelation was given to assume world government? The initiates are convinced of this. Paradoxically, however, they remain turned in on themselves and show no desire to proselytize. They possess the knowledge, but remain silent, because they know that the truth may only be revealed when mankind is ready to receive it. It should therefore come as no surprise to you if in the Druze mountain villages of Galilee, the Lebanon, or Syria, you were to meet some of these wise men, almost a century old, who are capable of talking of Plato, the religions of the Hindus, Jesus Christ, or Muhammad. But they are not inclined to talk about their own beliefs. They are bound to silence under the Katan, the inviolable secrecy towards non-Druze on all matters related to their revelation. The Druze are particularly attached to simple, humble tasks. They have what one might call the virtue of hope, as for them there is no suffering which is not touched with joy.